What is up, YouTube? Today we are going to be doing a fun video that I just had the idea for yesterday that is relatively easy to film, so we're just cranking it out. And this video is how much money I have made as a globally charting indie musician. Now, before we get started, I would like to clear up the definition of globally charting indie musician. So for those of you who have never listened to my music and don't know what it is, which is probably like 99% of you, I release music with the Bookish Songs Collective. And the way that we operate is we are a collective of indie musicians who all occasionally release music together under the same account. So the way that works is we pick an album theme, like the very first one that we ever released was this. It was a Shadow and Bone themed album that came out around the same time as the Shadow and Bone show did. So that album, I think, honestly still has some of our best numbers of all the music we released, even though it was our debut. Anyway, yeah. All that we do is we pick a theme, we all write something inspired by that theme, and then we release it together. So these are my songs that I release under a different Spotify account. This is what the band's Spotify account looks like, and then this is what my solo Spotify account looks like. So obviously I don't have a ton of listeners. However, since my music is also posted on the Bookish Songs Spotify page, that is where the majority of my streams come from. Now, for today's video, I have a lot of notes, which even though this is a relatively simple video concept, I do have to reference a lot of numbers for this to work. So without further ado, we are going to go through all of my songs chronologically. We are going to talk about how much I paid to have them made, how much I have made off of them, talking streaming royalties, and the top 10 songs that I have are going to have the number of streams associated with them. So without further ado, let's get into it. The very first song that I ever released was called Ruination, and it was a Jenya Safin inspired song. This is actually a very old song that I wrote like even years before we made this album, and then we decided to release a Shadow and Bone album, and I was like, I have like 10 Shadow and Bone songs. I'm not going to write something new. I'm just going to pick one. So I picked this Jenya song that I actually released on Tumblr way before it ever got professionally produced. I paid $150 to have this song produced. It was the first song, like I said, that I ever had officially made, and I hired my sister's old church bandmate to produce it for me. I know that title doesn't sound super promising. However, this guy is majorly talented, and I actually still think at least once a week about making another song with him. So as soon as I have the money to pay him what he deserves, I will be hitting him up again, because he is a beautiful guitar player, wonderful producer. I miss him. Damien, if you're out there. Anyway, I paid $150 to have this song produced, and I have gotten $253.61 from streaming royalties, since this is, sadly, still one of my most streamed songs. And I say sadly because I didn't know what I was doing at this point. It is my least favorite song that I have out there because I didn't know what I was doing, and you can tell when you listen to it. But it does have 43,646 streams on Spotify. That's only counting Spotify. That's not counting other sites, because I don't pay for the like pro account of my music distribution, so I can't see all the nitty-gritty details. I just know what Spotify tells me. So for those of you who did not do that mental math, that comes out to a net gain of $103.61 for this song, which for your first song is pretty good, and I do have to say it's all downhill from here. We are also, like I said, going through these songs chronologically, so the next song that I'm going to talk about is Forgotten Saints. Forgotten Saints was a joke where somebody in the group chat when we were making this album went, hey, what if we made a song for that Volcra that tried to eat Mal, because we all hate Mal? And then we did. And I honestly couldn't tell you who all is even on this song or what all we did, and I don't remember exactly how much I paid for production, because we all split the production costs. I believe it was about $30. I believe that we used the same couple people for any and all group songs in our early days making music together, and it usually came out to about $30 a person. So that is what I have written down, that it costs $30. I have made $104.69 off of this song. That is a net gain of $74.69. And both of those songs came out in 2022 when the album released. The next song is also a joke song, where after we started writing that bullshit, somebody was like, can you imagine if we wrote a song for Milo the Goat? And then we did. That song is called Our Hero of the Fold. This is sadly one of my most streamed songs. It has 33,455 streams on Spotify. I paid about $30 to have it produced, and I have made $58.35. And that is because the royalties are split between a whole bunch of us. So I honestly really can't even imagine how much money that song has pulled in total. Too much, dare I say. I also would like to throw out there before we go any further that luckily I am privileged in the sense that I have a sister who also makes music. So when I was recording these songs, I got to borrow her microphone. So I did not have to pay for a studio when I was recording these, and I did not have to buy a microphone. I did, however, just move, and this microphone kind of sucks. So I am going to have to upgrade this soon. And at that point, I will have to buy a microphone, and that will really hurt my statistics of how much money I've actually made off of music. The next song is Bitter. Bitter is actually one of my favorite songs that I have out there, and I really wish that I had done more with the arrangement of it. But honestly, it being one of the first songs I ever made, like my second solo song that I made, I think it kind of fucks. I think it holds up against the test of time. This was for the Under the Hill album that Bookish Songs did in 2023. I paid $90 to have this produced by Tessa, one of my friends that is also in this band. And I have made $133.53 off this song for a net gain of $43.53. This is one of my most streamed songs. I think it deserves it. It has 23,911 streams. If you want to go ahead and make that 23,912. Next up is Vicious. This is the most I have ever paid for production costs. This is a duet that I made with my friend Kendra about Jude and Carden. Kendra's boyfriend produces the majority of her music. He is an amazing producer. I love his stuff. Because he is an amazing producer and he has a lot of qualifications, he charges a lot of money. But I do really fuck with his sound. And since Kendra said that she was obviously going to split the production costs with me, we split the production costs of $400, which means that I paid $200 for this song. Obviously, we are all splitting the royalties. I don't know why I just blanked on the word royalties. We were splitting those royalties. This is one of my top songs with 27,460 streams. I have made $81.11 in royalties for a net gain of negative $118.89. And those numbers are why I don't pay for really high tier production most of the time, because I don't frankly have enough listeners for it to matter. I know that's not a really professional attitude, but that is the attitude that we are having. Next up is Heartsworn. Heartsworn, I think, genuinely is lyrically probably one of my strongest songs, and not to toot my own horn, probably just one of the strongest songs written by an indie singer-songwriter of this specific genre and category of the past few years. I am willing to give myself that incredibly nuanced and specific title. I think these lyrics fuck. If you want to pause to read these, go ahead. I love this song. I also had this song produced by Damien. I paid him $150. I would like to clarify, he didn't charge me anything for doing this because production is just a hobby of his. And like I said, he was friends with my sister for a really long time. So he offered to do this shit for free. That's nefarious. That's fucked up. I would never have somebody produce an entire song for free for me. He would not. I was like, dude, I'm paying you and give me a quote. And he would not give me any quote. So anytime I've worked with him, I paid him $150. That's pretty low mid-range. That's what I usually pay most of the time. So that's what he got. Paid him $150. I got $115.79 from royalties from that song for a net gain of negative $34.21. When I told you it was all downhill from the beginning, I meant that shit. Anyway, next song, Villain. Villain's a fun song because I wrote Villain about this book by V.E. Schwab. It is a gay love theme for Eli and Victor, who are not canonically gay or in love. That being said, they are gay and in love. I am taking the liberty to say that. And actually, this book is getting another sequel soon. So I really, really hope that my homosexual suspicions are confirmed in this next one. I hired who is now my regular producer, Filippo Tomasi, to produce this. I'm probably saying that wrong. I'm clearly not Italian. I don't know how to say names that aren't Southern. I paid him $150 roughly to produce this song. I have made $60.29 for a net gain of negative $89.71. The next song that I released in 2024 for this album, a Hunger Games album that we all did, is called Much Worse Games to Play. I wrote this song with my friend Tessa, who produced Bitter for me. This is a duet just about the Hunger Games in general, like an extremely generalized theme. This is one of my top stream songs with 74,000 streams, 74,078 streams, if we want to be exact. I paid $35 to have this song produced because at the time Filippo was still operating off of Fiverr and he had a deal where you could have a song done for $70. So Tessa and I split that cost and we each paid $35 for this song, which is the cheapest I have ever had a song made and will ever have a song made again. Especially for it to be my top stream song, that is a really good deal. I have made $145.05 off this song for a net gain of $110.05. We're finally in the positives again. We're finally making money. Next up is Sunset, which is off of that same album. I did not have Damien produce this song because our schedules were just a mess at the time and he didn't have time to do full production. So I just had him write me I wrote the guitar track. I had him play it. I am not a good guitar player at all. Like, I'm a barely listenable guitar player. So I wrote the song, sent him the music for it. He played it on guitar for me. I mixed the song myself because I didn't want to have to pay for that. And then I outsourced mastering for about $30. And I believe I paid Damien about $90 to play the guitar for that for me, for a total of $140 in production costs. I have made $42.44 off this song for a net gain of negative $87.56. Next up is Girls Like Me Are Karma, which is a song that I wrote inspired by the Iron Widow, released in 2024. This is one of my most streamed songs with 25,147 streams. This was produced by Filippo. I paid him about $150. I don't remember exactly because it was a very specific number. I remember that much. And he is Italian, so it's converting from dollars to euros, and I don't remember exactly. It was about $150. I have made $90.36 in royalties for a net gain of negative $59.64. Next up, we have Blood in the Water, which is a Legend Born inspired duet that I wrote with my friend Nia. This is one of my more streamed songs because it actually only came out earlier this year, so it's kind of impressive that this does have 11,091 streams already. We hired our friend Lizzie to produce this song. Lizzie charged $300 total, so we split that song between us, which means we each paid $150, obviously. I have gotten $23.09 in royalties for a net gain of negative $126.91. And I also would like to go ahead and throw out there, I use DistroKid to distribute my music. DistroKid operates on a 2 to 3 month delay. So these numbers are about 2 or 3 months behind. So I do actually have more money on top of this. Not a whole ton, but more money on top of this. These numbers were calculated as of November 19th, 2025. And that's your disclaimer about that. And the last song that we are going to talk about today, because like I said, DistroKid does operate on a delay. And I have released a few songs since this last one that I'm about to talk about, but they are not fully in the system yet because of said delay. So the last song that I have on this list is Malady (parentheses Act 2), which is a song that I officially wrote for this lovely Swan Lake retelling book with lesbians. An official affiliation with the author. Anyway, this is one of my more streamed songs at 7,841 streams. It was released in 2025. It was produced by my guy Filippo. I paid him roughly $150, $160. I don't remember exactly. I have made $21.65 off this song for a net gain of negative $138.35. Now, if we take all those numbers from across this whole video and add them together, that means that since I have been making music in 2021, not counting the money that hasn't been calculated for the past 2 or 3 months, not counting the money that hasn't been calculated for the songs that don't show up yet, not counting the money that I have been paid to do live performances. That brings our total to negative $295.90. So I don't have a specific point to this video. It's more so that I want to be really transparent about the expectations of being an indie musician. And I feel like, without being conceited, I feel like I do have more success than a lot of indie musicians in my position do. Once again, this is the Spotify for my band. This is my personal Spotify. Obviously, the streams for our band are way higher, but that is where my streaming numbers are coming from. They're not necessarily coming from my personal page for the most part. I do have the opportunity to do live performances that I get paid for. Not super often, but I do have the opportunity. And I do know a lot of people through networking that really help me out. So, all of that being said, I've been making music for like 10 years now. I've been releasing music for 4 years. And I am still in the red, financially speaking, and my music has charted in several countries. So really, just to bring myself down to earth for a minute, these are my numbers. If you are watching this video and you would like to get those numbers higher, that would be great. That would be awesome. You know where to find my music, and I will see you guys next time. Thank you for watching.